Hi everyone, this is Karina from Lovin' from the Oven, and I'm here to show you how to make this cake for all those proud Canadians in your life to celebrate Canada Day, or maybe just to give a cake to someone who happens to really like beavers. Now it's time to ice and layer all your cakes. You're going to need a 6-inch cake and a 4-inch one on top of that. If it's not being transported, you don't really need to worry about doweling this one. The ganache will keep it in place for the most part. You'll need to carve and round the edges off of your cake and to get it into a butternut squash sort of a shape, so it's fat on the bottom and thinner on the top. Fully ganache your cake, and at the very base of the cake it's a good idea if you give it a bit of extra bulk and a rounded bottom edge by layering out some ganache. Once it's firm, it'll actually hold its shape. Build up the shape of the snout with more ganache using the back of a spoon and finish it off with a flexi smoother for a perfect finish. Cover your cake with the fondant, rolled a little thicker than normal. Secure the top into place and work your way down, opening the pleats and smoothing them onto the sides of the cake. Take off any excess, but leave enough to work with. Start nursing the bottom edge in towards the cake card using a dull but pointed tool. Once you've thinned it out enough and the cake card is actually showing, you can remove the leftovers and then smooth out any bumps and lumps with a flexi smoother. Attach a rounded triangular piece of fondant to the snout area with a little bit of water and just try to blend in all the edges, top, bottom and sides. Using a pointed edge tool like a Dresden, make your indentation for the snout right up the middle. This comes up from his mouth to his nose. So you want to have the base of it where his mouth will be, kind of rounded on either side. Continue making that curve up to where his cheeks will be. Use your finger to indent and accentuate his smiling cheeks. Using the side of your thumb and a Dresden tool, push out his bottom lip. Texture his whole body using a sharp-tipped silicone tool. Using a ball tool, indent where the eyes will be placed. With 2 small balls, indent with your thumb. These will be the ears. Pinch the bases together and remove any excess that you don't need. Measure and mark the 2 areas that the actual ears will be placed on his head. Add some extra water to underneath the fondant to wherever it attaches to the head, just to make sure that it's actually really secure. It's time to airbrush our beaver. So the central snout and his belly are going to be the lighter shades, and the rest of his body is all covered in a dark brown. Do this layer by layer, leaving each layer to dry before spraying again to darken it. Roll out a sausage tapered to a point on either end and try to cut it in the middle at a 45-degree angle. Roll out where his wrists will be, so just creating a little indentation. Cut in each of the fingers. I've only gone with 3 fingers. Beavers probably have more, but c'est la vie. Twiddle each of the fingers until they're rounded and they have no sharp edges anymore, and place it on the body with a little bit of water into position. While I don't know how many fingers a beaver has, I am pretty sure that it has 2 front paws, so repeat the process with the second one and then texture it just like we did with the body. Paint the arms with the same dark airbrush color. Using a little bit of dark modeling chocolate, create a little triangular, rounded topped nose for the beaver. Secure it onto his snout with some water and make some nostrils for him. Drill 2 angled holes into your cake board and place 2 skewers inside. Cut out a template and use it as a guide to cut a beaver tail out of rolled out modeling chocolate. Use that same template to mark and cut your skewers to the right size. Make crisscross marks using a straight edge on your beaver tail. Add a little more texture using a leather impression mat, and then attach it to the 2 skewers that you've already cut to size, securing it with a tiny bit of water on the back. Cut out a second milk chocolate beaver tail and attach it to the back of the previous one that you've placed. This will hide the skewers. Tuck in the base edge of it. Carve the sides to make a smooth surface and then soften the hard edges with your thumbs. Feel free to decorate your board however you like. I decided to go with a red, white and red for the old Canada flag. And for the beaver feet, I rolled out modeling chocolate into a teardrop sort of a shape that's flattened on one side. That side will end up underneath the beaver. Give him toes using the backside of your Dresden, and remember to twiddle them just like you did before. Figure out where your beaver is actually going to be placed on the board and line up your feet. I decided to make my feet a little shorter, so I cut off some excess. Squash him down so he sits securely. Aw, he's already cute, but he needs some eyes. Fill in the gaps that you've already made with some white fondant, rounded at the edges. Use a medium ball tool to indent the eyes for where the irises will go. Then fill with whatever color eyeball that you want to actually create. Repeat this process with a smaller ball tool to fill in for the pupil, the blacks of the eyes. Add a panel of black into the mouth and spread it until it actually looks like it's inside of his mouth as opposed to sitting outside. Wet the inside of his mouth and the snout with a bit of water and adhere some white modeling paste for his teeth. This is just a panel of rectangle, smaller on the bottom than the top. Indent into the center to separate it into 2 individual teeth. And now there's no question that he's actually a beaver. To make him look a little bit more cartoony and to make the eyes pop, outline each eye with a small black sausage of fondant. Using some dark brown dust mixed with a little vodka, paint in his hands. You gently want to blend this color into his actual arm color, just around the elbow. Using the same paint, fill in the centers of his ears. With a clean, dry brush, dry dust around his eyes just to add a bit of shading. Paint the lines in his tail using the same color and also darken the exterior of the tail as well. Now, hindsight 2020 and all that, this would probably be a lot easier if I did this before I put the beaver on. Next, you always put a little highlight on each eye. Just choose a corner, they have to be the same, just where the pupil and the iris meet. And then of course you need to add some confectioner's glaze to the eyes, and you can do his nose as well just to give it a shine. And there you go. Happy Canada Day, everybody.